there's one part of this that I didn't mention, and to get more back into the pulse chain focus of everything. So we just went and talked a whole bunch about, like, if whether Judge Carroll has to come and actually dismiss part of the case or anything, or if the SEC would just be lifting it based on Trump's new policy or whatever. I would argue, and I know you and I have had this conversation many, many times, but I wonder, let's say that we don't really get any news on this anytime soon, and maybe we are just waiting on this new policy, and in another 60 to 90 days, it's like, oh, okay, the SEC is no longer going to be pursuing these things. This case is being lifted or paused for now, and it's just hanging out there in the ether, no pun intended. Do you think maybe we don't get that? And this was always a short-term thing that I've never been like super think it would go super crazy price-wise anyway. But do you think we then are neglected that like potential motion to dismiss pump, that you and I have argued at a million times, that, I think like we could do it like a 2X immediately, like in a day. You talked about doing a 10X before, I think you said. But could we be denied that short-term burst of a potential great piece of news like that if this just kind of slowly fizzles out? And is that even really that important? Because I think what we really need is just Ethereum to start moving so all coins can start to go up more.
Yeah.
I really don't think the SEC thing is that important. Like, it's good to see things fall by the wayside, but in terms of us really going up in earnest, it's more the market playing out, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it's unimportant, and I don't think it slowly fizzles. You're going to get a ruling, right? They're not going to just say, oh, we forgot about this. So you are going to get something, whether it be even Richard coming out and saying, just talk to my lawyers, here's the deal. I think that could spark it. You know what I mean? So I don't think we miss anything. I do think, however, it's not going to come from the courts. You're not going to see a tweet from the SEC or the courts or anything like that about it.
Right.
You're going to see something from probably Richard himself, because he will confer with his lawyers, get the news, and then he'll be the one to publish it and let us know what's going on. Once that happens, I do see still a pretty immediate 5 to 10x. And I don't know that, not within a day, but within a few days, within a week at least, you're going to see massive influx, because people are no longer on the sidelines. They're not waiting. I mean, it'll trust me. I trust me, bro.
Okay, source, trust me, bro.
Yep,
okay,
that's my source.
Okay, that's the end of the discussion. I mean, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But here's the thing: it's really a stupid argument, I guess, that we even have, because it's all short term. Like, there's going to be a destination that we end up at this cycle, and I think that that's the destination, whether we do a 2 or 5x within the first few days after the case could be dismissed or not. Whatever it is. So, the long term is really the most important thing. But yeah. I know what you just said is very interesting, that we could hear it actually from RH. I think that's very possible. That
where else would we hear it, right? Where else?
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to broadcast it? He's going to get the news first. Where else would it come from?
Yeah. And that leads me to a final follow-up point on this, because I saw somebody tweet this today. And they were like, with these new things that Trump is enacting, even though we haven't seen them fully come to pass yet, and the SEC hasn't totally reformed and all these things, like, they were basically saying, why isn't Richard Hart just streaming now? Like, just stream now, talk now if you want to talk now. He put out the audio obviously on Christmas Eve and was, didn't have any issues. I mean, he didn't misstep or say anything that he didn't want to say or anything like that. What do you think, that is a valid statement or not, and why?
No. Because it's not over. It is not over. I mean, and this has not been dismissed yet. I'm sure his lawyers are well aware of that. And once he gets the go ahead, believe me, he will do what it takes. He wants to win as much as we do, if not more. He's got a lot of time, energy invested in this as well. He wants to get that glory. So don't think that for a minute he's just going to disappear like Satoshi did. That's not his style. It never has been. He will be out there. I know DGen Moonboy said that. I think he meant we should be lobbying to get him on the show first, but
Right.
he's going to be going out there to people that have 1 million followers, trying to get on those and saying how, listen, I was right all along. I've been this, I'm being drugged through the mud, just like all these other guys. I've got Interpol looking for me. All of these persecutions like Roger Vere's going through, we're seeing that, how that's all playing out. He's got a good story to tell. Excuse me. And, he's dealing with a lot of the same things. John McAfee went through a lot of the same things. Now it's Roger Ver, Richard Hart, a lot. It is a very compelling story. So I do believe that once he is allowed, he's going to be very vocal. Now, as far as the Interpol stuff goes, how can obviously you don't want people tracking you down either by location, based on streams or where it's coming from. So, there's that aspect of it as well. But I do see a lot of this going away. Maybe he even heads to the United States.
I don't know.
Because, well, they're lessening a lot of the penalties of it as it is right now. So, that's just a total speculation. But I think that would be the only reason that he wouldn't stream until that other stuff gets cleared up as well. So,
well, and my opinion with it is, it kind of goes right in line with, when will we really pump, and not really if the case is dismissed, but when Ethereum goes up. I think that kind of is the same thing with RH wanting to stream. Like, obviously, you want to be in the most bullish environment you can
yeah,
when you're doing that. And, he purposefully has been, I'm not going to say absent. I mean, there's people, oh, he's on the run. He left. He's never coming back and all this stuff, which obviously wasn't true. But there's, when things are going well, that's when you want to be promoting, obviously,
yeah,
and when
for sure.
things were going poorly, it's kind of when he was a little bit more quiet and things like that, to get the people that are eventually going to sell anyway, just out of the market as soon as you can, as low as you can, so they're gone.
Yeah.
And then again, when things rally, we haven't seen Ethereum even get really near new all-time highs. I mean, it's been near 4K, but that's pretty much it. It hasn't really threatened new all-time highs yet. So I think that's what we need to see first before a lot of these things start to happen, and we're just not there yet. So
Completely agree.